Hello, Internet. Welcome back to Mind Your Own Business, the podcast where successful entrepreneurs tell you everything they know, whether it's helpful or not. Hopefully it will be. I am Stacey Leick, the owner of Buttered Marshmallow in Omaha, Nebraska. I am a cottage baker, and I want to tell you a little bit about that before I get started so you understand the perspective of today's show. I am primarily talking today to cottage bakers, but it's also will apply to anybody that has an idea for a small business. So cottage bakers are allowed to bake from their home. We do not have to have a wholesale license. The food regulators do not come into our homes and inspect, but we do have to do the training the same as any restaurant employee. So you have to take a safe serve class and learn all about health and safety measures of running your own business. And that is important for a lot of reasons. I learned a ton when I did that. It just helps me protect my customers and myself from the potential of bad things happening. I love having a cottage bakery because I can bake from my home. I don't ever have to leave. I remember the first year I started doing this, it was cold. It was snowing. I was laying in bed listening to my next door neighbor scrape his windows, and oh gosh, I could not have been happier. So that's what a cottage bakery is, cottage business. There are plenty of them that exist, not just in baking. But today we're going to talk about that. I want to talk to you about the beginnings of starting your own business. And it goes back to something that happened this weekend, but I've seen it multiple times over the past 5.5 years that I've been in business. And that is somebody gets their license, because you do have to register with the state wherever you live to be a cottage baker. And somebody posted on one of our Facebook groups, hey, I got my license to be a cottage baker. Tell me everything I need to know to be successful. And that just kind of grated on me a little bit. And it always has, primarily because anyone who is in business and is successful, seeing some sort of success, it comes from what I do or from what you do. You go out and you do the work yourself. There is no shortcut. I've said it before and I'll say it again. There are tips and maybe some little tricks and some little hacks, but pretty much it is what you do day by day to become successful. And asking other people for everything that they do, it takes away from, I don't even know how to express this, which is really too bad. It made me feel like I'm not here to give you all of my secrets. You have to do that yourself. So I want to talk about what I thought on how to answer, and I am going to work this out so that I can answer this lady online, but here's what I will plan to say. The first thing that you need to know to be successful in business, the first thing that you have to understand is how much are you willing to give up to be successful, because owning your own business requires so much sacrifice and requires you to give up, sleeping, eating, free time, friendships, not forever, but definitely as you're getting your business started. I, for example, eat dinner at 10 p.m. at night because I'm in my kitchen all day and I can't just stop what I'm doing and make myself dinner or lunch or breakfast and then bring everything back into the kitchen. So I have to eat around my schedule. That is pretty important to know. The second thing that that I recommend that you think about is, how do you run your household? Because how you run your household is probably going to be pretty consistent with how you run your business. And here's a little bit of a brutal truth. Take a look at your household, because if your household is running smoothly, that's probably who you are. You're the organized person who can make things happen. If your house is kind of a disaster, and you know what? It is for a lot of people, a disaster. That's probably going to carry forth through your business as well. Now, if you're the kind of person who can say, okay, I'm a goal setter and I am going to change how I run my household and I'm going to carry that through to my business, good for you. A lot of people are like that, so really think about that. Running your own business is like running a household. You have employees or children who you assign chores to or other tasks. You have a spouse or a business partner who takes on half of the work. You have friends or vendors who provide help to you when you need it, or you do everything yourself. And any of these things are typical in any business and household, and that's exactly what your cottage business or your individual business is going to be like as well. I own my own business. I live alone. My children are grown. I do everything myself. I'm tired all the time, but I love it. It works out. You just have to decide what you're willing to give up. Right now in Nebraska, it's golf season. It's my favorite time of year. I love golf. I love three things. I love baking, I love drinking champagne, and I love golf. And the order of that depends on what I'm doing at the time. Golf season starts March 15th, and when that date comes around, all I want to do is play golf. But it's a 4.5 to 5 hour commitment. And when I come home, I'm tired. Golf is exhausting. And if I have a full day of baking, well, I have to bake. I have to work. I can't sit down on the couch. I can't put it off. I can't do it later. I know that the later in the day it gets, the more tired I get. So I have to work when I'm still fresh, even after golf. So I'm going to have to give up something in order to have a successful business. So I'm going to have to give up golf. If you have a family, I don't know, you're going to have to think about, what are you willing to give up? Or are you really willing to? Are you willing to give up some of the kids' activities or going to the kids' activities? Are you willing to give up your hobbies that you have outside of the business? Like maybe you like to go on hikes or bike rides or do yoga, or maybe you like to travel and you won't be able to do that. So you really have to think about that as part of starting your own business. Like I said before, running a business is like running a household. And so if you have 5 parties that you got invited to for kids' birthday parties and maybe a friend's retirement party, et cetera, and they're all on the same Saturday, you're going to have to not be able to do something, because you know what? You cannot do it all. And that's part of the whole success of being in a business, is realizing that you can't do it all and you need to learn to say no. So getting back to all the things that tell me everything that I need to know to run a successful business. I think that the thing I dislike the most about seeing that question in a social media group like Facebook or Reddit is the amount of answers that come in might be great, but A, you're getting a lot of repetitive answers, and B, it's not always possible to tell what is accurate and what's not. For example, the lady that asked about running her own business, she got some bad information from somebody in the group. And several people came back and corrected that information. However, we don't know that the person who, if she read the bad information, she might have taken that to heart and left and not come back and read that the information was not accurate. And that can happen a lot. Even something so simple as when you go online and you say to someone, hey, where should I go in town to get the best hamburger? And one person says, oh, you need to go here. And someone else says, no, that's terrible. Go to this other place, and everybody's giving you different information based on their own personal experience. When you are looking to start your own business and you need help and information, you want to go to places where you're going to get expert advice or advice from people who have actually done this regularly and do it for a living. So while you might want to go on those chats and groups just to vent a little bit or have a little bit of dialogue back and forth, the place to go for good information on running your own business is where the experts are. So I might not be an expert in a lot of things, but I do have a successful business and I'm able to provide really good information that's helpful. I'm not the only place. There are YouTube videos. There are online resources, online classes. There's business development centers in your own city and state. The Nebraska Business Development Center is an excellent resource to help you. So utilize the resources that are available from people who have actually lived and are helping to train others instead of just going to random people. I think back about when somebody makes a great salad dressing, right? And then other people are saying, oh, you should bottle this and sell it. Sometimes it's just not the best information available to you. Maybe it will be later, but get help from the experts and go online to get that. So, as an expert in cottage baking, I'm going to give you some tips today on the start of your business. I've talked about this before. There are at least 365 steps to starting your own business. I'm going to talk about the first 3 that are most important to me today. One is naming your business. One is getting supplies for your business, and one is conducting inventory. So we're going to start with the name. When you are going to name your business, there's the first thing that you want to think about is, what name can I choose that is easy to remember and easy to spell and will generate some sort of excitement? I chose the name Buttered Marshmallow. If you look back on one of these podcasts or you go on to my website, you can read the story about why. But I think that name elicits everything I've talked about. When you say buttered marshmallow in your head, what are you thinking about? I'm thinking about a marshmallow that's dripping butter. Think about that over a flame. It's a clever name. It's easy to say, and it just gives people a good, warm feeling when they hear it. And it also sounds delicious, which works well for a bakery. As you're thinking about your name, consider some things. Number 1, odd spellings. Odd spellings may look cute on a business card, and they may look good on your boxes, but when somebody is looking up your name online, they are not going to be inclined to spell something incorrectly. So even though it might be cute, think about this carefully. Spelling words incorrectly for clever or cute might not always be the best way to go about it. The second thing is, when you're making a name, when you're choosing a name, choose something that talks about what you do in a fun way. So I have seen some people name their bakeries like Patty's Pies. Works out, right? Patty makes pies, but there's just not anything in there that's grabbing you. When you're thinking about coming up with the name, especially if you want to incorporate your own name into your business, you want to make sure that it's catchy and something that's going to stay in someone's mind. So, you know what's a great example is, I don't even know if she's a real person, Eileen's Cookies. The reason Eileen's Cookies works is because she has brick and mortar businesses and people see her name all over the place. When you're baking out of your home, having your own name like Stacey Sandwiches is not going to just be enough of a draw. It really is not going to be a draw. So come up with something that's really catchy. And I don't even know what it would be. Oh, I know, Buttered Marshmallow, something like that. When you're thinking about naming your business, to the little kitschy spellings where you misspell something, not a good idea. I know it seems cute, but here's the problem. People don't purposely misspell when they're going to look for your business. If you're spelling, for example, if my name was Cece and I sold silver jewelry and I spelt silver with a C, yeah, it sounds kind of dumb, doesn't it? But people do something like that. No one is going to be able to find me because I'm not typing in silver with a C when I'm looking for it. Maybe you'll stick in someone's mind, but overall, you're not trying to go for someone. You're trying to go for a big picture. Come up with a name that's catchy, that's easy to spell, that invokes a thought when they hear it. And also, if you're going to have a social media presence, make sure that the name is not already taken, because you don't want somebody going to a different company than yours when they're looking to buy whatever it is you're selling. And make sure that the name is not too long to fit into the social media handle that you're trying to use. For example, I know that Instagram limits the number of characters that you can have for your handle. So think about that. And finally, if you have long-term visions and plans of what to do with your business, and you're thinking about maybe trademarking, or sometime down the future hoping somebody wants to buy your business or your name, check to make sure on the trademarking. It is super important for a lot of reasons, but one, if somebody has that name and you are using it and you're using it in the same way, it can create legal problems for you that will close your business down. We are actually going to get into trademarking on a completely different episode. I've got my trademark attorney coming in to talk to you, but just based on the number one rule, make sure that the name that you use is not trademarked. And find something unique that's spelled right. So, moving on from there. Second thing that is really important in starting your own business is managing your supplies. And by supplies, I'm talking about hard goods. So for a bakery, I'm going to talk about things like pans and utensils, mixing bowls, mixers, and boxes, everything that I need to get my cake into your hands, right? So when I started my business, I knew I was going to make 6-inch, 8-inch, and 9-inch cakes. So I bought pans, but I only bought a few of each one. So I bought 6 of each one of those sizes. And I'm selling 6-inch 3-layer cakes, 8-inch 3-layer, and 9-inch 3-layer cakes primarily, 9-inch 2-layer cakes. So I bought 6-inch pans, and I just said that, but it's still true. 6 8-inch pans, and I actually bought 4 9-inch pans so that I could just bake the cakes in those pans, and then I could reuse them, wash them, and bake again. I did not want to go out and buy as many pans as I thought I might need on the outset because I was managing inventory, and that's what you want to do. Don't go out and buy everything that you think you're going to need to when you see success in a year. Manage your purchases so that A, they're not taking over your house or your space, and B, you don't find that you have more than you really need, because that is really one of the worst problems to have when you have spent money on something you're not using instead of reinvesting that money into your business or using that money on something else like soft ingredients like flour and sugar and chocolate, stuff like that. So you want to think about how that cake is going to get made, first I'm going to need pans. And the second thing is, so I'm going to just delve into two other items here, mixers and spatulas. Spatulas, now that's one that I say you can't ever have too many. It's a lot like black shoes and black pants. Can't ever have too many. You will go through a ton of spatulas during a day. I think I have 25 spatulas, and at the end of the day, I might have 2 that are left in my spatula bin. They're easy to wash, easy to clean, and it's better to run them through the dishwasher than to hand wash them during the day. But when it comes to something like a mixer, really think about how many mixers you're going to need. And I recommend that you get a larger mixer, like a KitchenAid or a Bosch, but maybe you only have room for one, which is just fine. Invest and spend money in extra bowls, extra beater blades, extra whisks, and extra bowl covers, because you can make a lot of product with one mixer, or even 2. You can get them for a bargain, sometimes on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. If you have the extra bowls and beater blades, you have increased your productivity without the financial outlay for those mixers. It's one of the best investments I made to make sure that I now have 11 bowls and 11 mixer blades. So I don't really ever have to stop my process. I can bake more efficiently and more effectively. Now, I don't recommend that you go out and buy 8 right away, but consider getting 2 or 3 extra mixing bowls. You will come back and say that was some of the best advice I ever got. In another episode, I will tell you how I keep track of all of these when I'm mixing, because, wow, if you don't keep track of that, you can really mess up, which I've done a lot. Don't even want to talk about that today. The third thing I'm going to talk about is inventory, and this is going to be a quick one. Take inventory. Every single week before you are going to do your supply shopping, or how I do mine every week, I take inventory of every single ingredient I have in my home for my bakery. It might be my least favorite thing to do. It takes about an hour, but when it comes down to being prepared during the week, not having to make special trips to the store, inventory will save you every single time. You go through your orders, you know exactly what you're making for the week. You go through, count up every single thing that you have, and then check to see, what am I missing? What am I low on? Don't ever rely on memory. Look at your recipes to make sure that you are calculating for every single thing you need. I will delve into that again later, especially as it comes to cost and pricing. But for today, we're going to leave it at that. I think I went over 3 really important things for the business. Just remember, how I run my home is how my business is going to run. I need a name that's going to make you want to come to me and buy from me, that's going to be easy for you to remember. And when it comes to hard goods and soft goods for supplies and inventory, I want enough so that I can run my business, but not so much that it's taking over my home. And that's all I have for you today on Mind Your Own Business. I think that it's been great, and I look forward to talking to you next time. Have a great day.